I've got to say I know very little about Indonesian cooking, so use me, put me to work, and I'll do anything you say, but you're the boss.
Let's put it this way, Ross, you've been around for a long time, and you've always been telling people what to do. So my condition of coming on the show was to show you something you really didn't know anything about. So the first thing I like to do is to talk briefly about the spices, because they're really different. And the other thing is, all these spices are available in Whistler. The Nestor store has the whole array, and in the village grocery store you will find them as well. So if I just take the main two spices that we're going to need, that is, in Indonesian it is called laos, here they call it kalangal. And kalangal is actually a nut what is a little bit bitter and peppery. And it is one of the main ingredients to make curry, by the way.
Oh.
So that spice we're going to use quite a bit. And the other one is ketumbar. And ketumbar, again, is an Indonesian nut. And it is slightly sweet. Again, quite a bit spicy. So these two are the main ingredients. Then we have got another combination of spices. It's called gado-gado. And we're going to use that for the salad that we will be making, an Indonesian salad. And here is a mixture of peanuts and coconut, what is roasted. And that is used in the nasi goreng, what is Indonesian fried rice with chicken. And that will be part of what we will be cooking as well. What we're going to start off with, however, today is something that you will find on many menus these days, even in the Vancouver area and Whistler. And that is peanut sauce. I have not yet found one restaurant where they make a true Indonesian peanut sauce. Some friends who have been exposed to my peanut sauce, what is the real one, of course, always are asking for the recipe. And whenever I give the recipe, I always leave 1 or 2 ingredients out. Because
but you're not going to do that here.
Today, I'm going to be, for the very first time, very honest. And
here we go. Get this, Whistler. You're going to get the real recipe for peanut sauce.
It's coming. And before we start with it, I want to put out another 2 items. This particular one is a kerupuk. And kerupuk is shrimp flour. And we are going to use this instead of bread.
I've noticed a lot of Indonesian cooking, it's in Dutch words, isn't it?
It is, and the reason is in 1948, when Indonesia became independent from Holland, the Indonesian people were given a choice. Either you stay in Indonesia and you become an Indonesian, or we pay you the airfare to Holland, and you can be, or remain Dutch, as they were up to then. And approximately 150,000 people at that time choose to come to Holland. So we have a large Indonesian colony. And today it is very difficult to find one Dutch restaurant in Holland. But you find Indonesian restaurants all over the place.
Yeah.
So it is
almost
becoming the Dutch national dish, the Indonesian style cooking. So anyhow, this kerupuk we're going to start preparing, because for that we need oil in the skillet, hot, very hot as a matter of fact. And when the oil is ready, you will see what I will be doing with this. And this is instead of bread, what you would use normally with a meal. So what we're going to do first of all is prepare the satay. And satay is really a wooden skewer with either beef or scallops. So what I would like to do, Ross, if you can help me, is if you chop about 3-4 cloves of garlic.
Okay.
And then I will start explaining to the people what we're going to do with this marinade, because this meat has to be marinated. First of all, there is another spice, and it's called sambal, and it really is a tomato and chili sauce. Very spicy, so you use very little of it. And when you have cut your meat in small pieces, and not thicker than this, because it has to be cooked very, very fast, you add onto them both this bit of sambal, what is the chili sauce, and then comes the big secret, soya sauce. Every time you use soya sauce, it is the Chinese or the Japanese soya sauce. In Indonesia, the soya sauce is the same base, of course, the soya bean, but they add palm sugar. It makes it thicker, and it gives a whole different flavor to it. So
is it sweeter than, Ted? Is it?
Oh, it is much sweeter than the regular soy sauce, but it's actually on a salt base. So we're going to dump quite a bit of the soy sauce over it.
It is quite a bit thicker.
It is very thick. And what you will see later on is that the marinade will be used to make the peanut sauce. We do the same with the scallops, although we don't use half as much as we use for the meat. Then that kalachen, where is he? This is the Laos, and this will give a slightly bitter flavor, what goes perfect with the sweetness of the soya. So it is almost a bit of a neutralizer for the sweetness. And you don't use a hell of a lot of this. Tiny bit there. Now the big difference between these two is the ginger. With the meat, you don't use ginger. So you have a fair amount. I can actually put it here. I don't know if it is can be seen on the camera. It is a fair amount of ginger, and this ginger will be the dominant flavor with the scallops. So we take them, plunk them on there, and now I would like...
I'll just put this over here.
Yeah, if you put it over here, I will show you slowly.
There we go.
I was told by the chef that I had to use a spoon rather than just my fingers. So it's about half a teaspoon of garlic, and that you put on both. You don't use any salt at this point, so remember that, because the flavors of all these spices together really don't need the salt. So having done this, we mix this a little bit together and we put it away normally 2 hours, 3 hours. So another advantage of Indonesian cooking is that you can do it during the day, and by the time your guests arrive, all the ingredients are ready, and it is a matter of 10 minutes to put it all together, so you can stay with your guest. There's the...
There we go. And of course, because it's cut so thinly, it won't take long to cook.
It takes 2-3 minutes. That's all. Yeah.
Great.
Especially the scallops, of course. The longer you cook them, the rubbery they get, and it's really a shame. So having done that, I don't know how the oil is going. If I can have a drip of water, so... No, it needs a bit more. It really has to come up. So what we have to do now, I would like you to pretend that this has been marinating for about 2 hours. So what we do, and these again are available in the grocery store and at Nestlé.
Notice how he has me standing in front of the bubbling oil.
Well, I'm not going to stand there because I've had my spots before. It is the little bamboo sticks, and they're about $1.29 for 100. So what I would like you and me now to do, pretend that this has been in the marinade for 2 hours.
Of course.
And we start making the skewers. And you take about 3 pieces of beef on each skewer, and...
How many skewers would you do for a normal serving?
Normal serving is 3 skewers like this, and remember, it comes with the rice always. You never eat it on its own. You either eat it with rice or this kroephoek, what we're going to do in a minute. So this is the beef skewer, and that's the... be a bit generous, because there's small scallops this time. If you have the big scallops, then 3 is plenty.
Here we go.
Perfect. And what we will do during the break, if possible, finish these skewers, and then we will make the peanut sauce, have them ready, and we go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
We can
I guess
actually...
we've pretty well got the first organization of this well underway, and perhaps what we'll do is take a break now, finish with the skewers, and then we can start up with the peanut sauce.
All the way, Alice. Excellent.
Sounds terrific. Thanks again. We'll see you shortly after the break.
We never...
Right.
I'd like to welcome you back to Cooking with Ross, introducing our guest diners today, Ned and Chris. So now we've finished skewering the sautés for the beef and scallops, I see.
Yes.
And now, Ned, Ted, I understand you're going to really confuse Ross, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else is.
He's done it already, actually. I'm totally confused at the
Well,
moment.
if you are thinking you are confused now, it is really going to be something else. First thing, I talked about this kroephoek, what is the shrimp bread. And I wanted to do this on camera because it is quite spectacular. You have a skillet with oil about ½ an inch.
Very hot.
Boiling hot. This dry shrimp bread goes in the oil, and I'm going to show you what happens. So if you're ready for this.
This is fascinating. You have to watch this closely.
Hot. You will see it go, and it expands, and it gets very crispy. And not only is it a nice flavor, but whenever you eat something too spicy with the Indonesian meal, you take this shrimp bread as almost a pacifier. It really neutralizes the spiciness.
Nice.
So
Now you're
I do
using the knife more or less to try and keep it as flat as
keep
you
it
can?
as flat as possible, because otherwise it curls up, as you can see, and otherwise you have half raw and half cooked. So we keep them down as long as we can, and
what will
not
we be
burn
using
our
this
fingers over this hot oil.
And this is a bread substitute, actually.
And this is the bread substitute. You don't use any type of other bread with the Indonesian cooking. So now that we have done this, Ross, maybe you can take this skillet away, and then I will start preparing the Indonesian peanut sauce.
Very hot.
And for that I need a flame. Is this?
There
There
we
she
go.
goes. And what we do, we need some oil in the pan, because we're going to fry some garlic. Normally,
yourself there.
if you, depending on the peanut butter that you use, and this is just ordinary peanut butter, this particular one has a nice layer of oil on top. So we first take that oil and put that in there, bring it to the boil. It's not very much, so we add a little bit of olive oil. And you can use any oil, vegetable oil, olive oil. And once that is cooking, we add to that some of that garlic and let this go for about a minute. You don't want it to go really brown, because if you do that, you get that burnt flavor. It's
That's
just
right.
to give the oil that garlicky flavor. And then the big thing comes.
Of
and
course, we mentioned before, like, the different ways that you can get flavors out of garlic, and the roasted or the burnt flavor is totally different. You don't want that here.
No, the reason is that the peanuts are already roasted before they are crunched to peanut butter, so it would be too strong a flavor.
Okay.
Okay, now we have done that, and as I told you before, I'm looking for the ketchup. This, again, is the secret. Oh, that's too much. If you could...
Too much?
Yeah, about half of that, and I'm going to show later on why we need some boiling water.
How's
That
that?
is for the nasi goreng, that is the fried rice. And there are some spices that have been dehydrated, and we're going to bring them back. So as you see, there's a light brown flavor to the garlic now. And what we do now, we add some of that soya.
Now you referred to the soya as ketchup.
Well, it is soya. The Indonesians call it ketchup, but it really is soya. And as you can see in the bottle, Indonesian-style
It does
soya
say-
sauce.
yeah.
Now that this is brown, we're going to roast the peanut butter a little. And I've got a dish of peanut butter, and we add, well, whatever amount you want. Put it all in.
Does it matter
Does that
what
look
kind of
about-
peanut butter
It
you
doesn't
use?
matter what kind of peanut butter. You mix it into the oil, and you take a whisk is better, and let it go, and the oil will come back again. And this way you brown the peanut butter lightly, and you add a bit more of that roasted flavor, and that's important at the end. So this is cooking, great. So this is the basis, and you know when it is ready to make the next step to make the sauce is when it starts to separate a bit, and if you see there is some separation happening now
Yes.
right there. So keep stirring it, because you don't want it really to burn, just browning. So now we need some water, Ross, and I think you have a jar right over there. And use cold water.
In here?
Yes, just dump it in,
So to use cold water?
plunk it all in, go on. And you see, having a little bit of mess at the bottom, suddenly you have a full pot of
There we go.
sauce.
Excellent.
And that is what you always do when...
And this is a tester, so
That's
that they can see
necessary.
what the sauce looks
well,
like.
not only that, you know, it makes the smell spread a little bit better.
Throughout
I need
the
some more
kitchen.
water.
Ah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it should be a smooth, creamy sauce. And as you see, it is still fairly thick and lumpy.
Now, this is...
Okay, oh, we're going to get some
It's
ice
awfully
in
cold
there.
water.
Well,
Yeah.
it's going to be very cold water.
Throw it
There
in.
we go.
Yeah, if you can hold back the ice. I mean, this is not a cocktail. So
We could
let's
make it
see,
that.
maybe we...
Peanut cocktail? That could be a
Stop
new
for a second.
creation.
That's fine, we keep stirring. I know you can't look into the pot right now, but believe me, things are going just fine. And if you can see it beginning to get smoother.
So what consistency would you compare it to that you'd want for the sauce? Just so people have an idea.
Like cream,
A cream? Okay.
yeah.
You're going to need more then.
Like a cream sauce, we need a bit more. But before we do that, Ross,
Yes.
if we put the flame down now, so that it simmers more, you can handle that better. We are going to take some of that red pepper sauce I talked about before, because this really should have some guts.
It has some heat.
Yeah,
That's the
so it's about a teaspoon to begin with. And the beauty, of course, is with a sauce like this that if you don't find it spicy enough, when it is on the table, you can always add on to it.
Smells wonderful.
It's
The peanut flavor
beginning,
coming
but
out
now
there.
we're going to have to use some of these spices. And I talked about that kalangkal nut before, and that it is very important to use that whenever you use the Indonesian soya sauce, because that is almost, it complements each other just perfect. So we use about half a teaspoon of that.
Now, all these names are pretty foreign to me, and I'm sure they are to a lot of other people, but you did mention that all of the spices and ingredients you're using are available locally.
Yeah, like I said before, I have talked to the grocery store and the Nestle store, and they both ordered the spices in, and they're there, and the idea is that they sell them. So
Terrific influence
that was
you
my
have on
commitment. The thing is, it's excellent food, it's healthy food, and one of the reasons that it is, in my opinion, healthier than Chinese, we do not use any fermented sauces like plum sauce, bean sauce, oyster sauce. So it is pretty clean. So this is the ketumbar, what is another Indonesian nut and has a soury sweet flavor as a spice. We need some more water because it's still getting curling. Yeah, that's it. No, a bit more. Quite a bit more. I think you can plunk all the water in if you keep the ice. Because it will be cooking in all the time. Great.
There we go.
So now we start cooking, and now we add more of this ketchup. And you do about, well, 2-3 tablespoons. So it gets a light brown color. And when it has the right brown color, you know you have put enough of the sauce in there.
That's about the consistency you want now.
And this is the consistency that we want.
Yeah.
So it is quite runny, but when it cools off, you will see it gets a little bit thicker. So you don't want to make them too thick originally. And
So that will be used more at room temperature than heated up as it is right now.
that's it.
Okay.
So this is the begin. And while we're going to put this now on the side for a little, it hasn't really cooked up. It should be cooking up a bit. You will see that the spices begin to work a little bit more. So by the time we use it, it really has got a nice flavor, spicy. Like I said, the pepper sauce is important. It needs a bit more.
Okay.
So there she goes.
Terrific.
Come here. And this sauce is pretty well done. You
Ready
should
to go?
see. So this we can put on the side. What we're going to do now is start working on the fried rice. And the fried rice, again, is different from the Chinese fried rice. They fry the rice, they throw a handful of green peas in it, and they say fried rice. What we're going to use is an Indonesian
You sound like
spice.
you like Chinese food very much.
Oh, I love it. And I live on Oriental food, so I have nothing against Chinese food, but I think Indonesian has a little bit more character, and every dish really has a very distinct flavor. First of all, and I want to show this, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, this is what we call a bumbu. And a bumbu is really a mixture of dried vegetables like onion, carrot, leek, and all kind of Indonesian spices. Number of them as we have got here, and some that are not available here. So this is the best way to start the flavor base for the nasi goreng or Indonesian fried rice. It's dehydrated when you buy it, so we're going to bring it back. And the way we do it is put it in a little bit of boiling water, and if you can, you're doing fine.
That soaked it up right away.
Yeah, that soaked it up right away. It may actually need a touch more. And if I can take this off so my face is not going to get cooked here. So, a bit more. So, there she goes. So this mixture of vegetables and spices will be later added to the rice when we start frying that. So again, put this on the side. What we're going to need is
Side
some
also.
chopped onion, some chopped leek. And if you can do that, Ross, then I'm going to start talking about the salad that we are going to serve.
How would you like the onion chopped?
Regular fine.
Fine slice?
Fine size, yeah. So the next thing we're going to do to make the meal complete is an Indonesian salad. And it's called gado-gado. And that's where this particular spice comes into play. What we're going to need is some regular salad, or some Chinese salad actually. Some chopped onion, and some boiled eggs, some chopped tomatoes. And then we're going to finish that off with the peanut sauce and some of this krupuk that we talked about before. So while you're doing that, this was washed prior to the show, so people don't have to say. And we're not going to do it raw. We almost stir fry the salad and the onions a little bit. So if we can put on this skillet, put a little bit of oil. Oh, that makes a lot of noise. Fine, perfect.
That's okay?
Yeah.
Good.
So we have a lot of things going on in here at the table.
Well,
Nice to see you guys so busy.
I'm confused already.
This is the beauty, of course, you do this all during the day. And
That's
you
right.
put it away. We don't have to do this all at the time that this is coming through. So once this oil is getting hot, we quickly almost blanch the salad in that oil.
So
and
it's more
again,
of a cooked salad, is it?
well, it's more blanching. It has to keep its crispiness, so it is going to go
Wilted
very,
a bit.
very fast.
Yeah.
We don't use the onions for the salad, but we use about half of the leek, what we throw in here right now, so it can blanch with it.
There we go.
So the leeks you've essentially just sliced up again?
Yeah.
Just slice the leek.
And this gado spice that I talked about, what is again on a nut base, but it is nut flour mixed with some other Indonesian spices. And you just sprinkle a little bit over that, not very much. And as you see, when we do this, it is another reason that you cannot really cook it too long, because otherwise that would really burn the pan. It is just that the rawness of the salad disappears. And what I would like to do is maybe, can we clean or take that all off? And
Sure we can, yeah.
So we're just going to drain that now?
Yep.
so this is going to be the base of that salad. And this is all it takes.
Perfect.
So we put that away for a little while, because the other items that go on it, you will see, is just add-ons, and it takes a minute to finish the salad. So once
Excellent.
this work is done, you can put that away.
Okay.
Great. Well, while we let that cool down a little bit, perhaps we'll take another break and let Ted and Ross get organized for the next project on hand. So thanks. We'll be with you in a moment.
Great.
Looks great so far.
I'd like to welcome you back in our final preparations, Cooking Ross today with Mayor Ted Nebbling preparing. Everybody's been busy during the break, so I'll let you finish up the final touches.
Okay, great.
Okay, Rose, let's put it all together. We don't have a hell of a lot of time.
Okay.
If you barbecue or fry the meat in this case, I will start on the fried rice. And what we do first of all is fry some onions. And make sure that when you put the onions into the pot, that the oil is hot. Very often you see people, they throw the onions in lukewarm oil, and they don't
then
fry
they get
them.
greasy too.
Well, they absorb all the oil, and they're really stewing the onions, and it has to be fried. Once the onions are going, just get them a little bit of color, as you see. We're going to add onto this some chicken, and you see it is beginning to brown a little. So just let them go fine. We add some very fine chopped chicken, and all I've added to the chicken is a little bit of garlic. No salt, no pepper, because again, you know, there's already so many spices in this dish that it would get overpowering if we started to throw salt in as well. The other thing with the Indonesian kitchen, just to tell you, we never ever use the monosodium glutamate. I mean, that is total out of the question. So again, it's very clean, because the Chinese kitchen, of course, uses a lot of that.
Yes.
And you may have a nice
major
dinner,
difference,
but you have a major headache very often.
So no MSG and no kale.
Now you,
Well, that's another thing. Every time I've seen Ross's show, he is doing a fine job until the moment of the decoration, and then proudly he presents his colored kale. I don't know where the hell he gets
he's
it
a
from.
kale hater. He's a kale hater.
I love kale, but today we're going to do it a little bit different.
Actually, I
As
just
you
bought
see.
shares in a kale farm. That's the idea.
So, Ross, when you have barbecued the beef, you can stick it in the peanut sauce.
Okay.
And that does two things. It takes the flavor of the peanuts, but it also keeps the skewers hot.
Okay.
And I should start using the word satay, because this is true satay. So you see the mixture is getting here nice and cooked. The chicken is getting some good color. And once this is cooked, we add onto that these vegetables that we hydrated.
Yes.
No, what is the proper word for that?
Rehydrated.
Rehydrated. And we just add onto that like this, so this also gets fried in a little bit with the chicken and the oil. Stir it. And the beauty is that once this is in the pan, you do not really have to add anything else. So it's almost foolproof. Everybody can do it. I was not trying to be personal.
Even an idiot like me.
No, I would never say that.
What we thinking it.
What we think is something else, of course. So if you let this cook for about 4 or 5 minutes, the dish will be ready to add the rice onto it.
And
So
I'd
just
like to
give it.
say, if anybody wants the recipes for these dishes,
No, you're
I'm
not
sure
gonna say.
You can call Ted every second Monday night right during the middle of our council meeting. And I'm sure he'd be willing to stop the meeting and give you the recipes.
That's right. There'll be a few OCP
Listen.
hearings too.
In the municipality, we have an open door policy. So, but I don't know if it goes as far as handing out cooking recipes. Now, what I think we do, Ross, we come back one day, a little while from now,
Yes.
and maybe we do a call-in show, talk about this food.
I think
knows?
it'd be a great idea.
So you see the chicken is getting really nicely cooked. The onions and the other spices are really adding a color. And once we add the rice onto it, what we may do here is add a little bit. That's perfect.
Now
Yeah.
we're just going to heat up.
Reheat that.
Yeah, but make sure it doesn't cook again.
Nope.
It should stay on
just
hot.
want it
Add a
warm.
little bit more oil because we're going to soon add the rice to this dish.
Now, the type of rice that you're going to use for this is just...
Well, I must be honest. When I do it at home, I use converted rice because it really cooks up nice and dry. And I quickly want to give a tip how to cook rice. You just put the rice in the pan. Forget about all these measuring cups. Put the rice in the pan, then add to it so much water that it is about ½ an inch above the rice.
Oh, okay.
You bring it to the boil with a little bit of salt. Bring the heat down to the lowest you can on your stove, and just leave it on the stove for about 20 minutes. And you have beautiful dry rice. Perfect for cooking it.
So we have
And again,
another
for the
approach
nasi
rice.
goreng, it is better to have cold rice. So if you do that during the day, it fries up nicer. And I think Ross, as an expert chef, would agree with me.
100%. 100%. I'm not
See,
going to disagree with anything
I
today.
told you I was going to say nice. In the meantime, Ross is now making this Indonesian salad we were talking about. And what we do, we add some parboiled eggs, some leek, finely chopped, some cucumber pieces. Oh, they're there already.
Yeah.
And some tomato. And once you have done that, I'm going to show you what to do with the peanut sauce.
Okay.
Because like this meal, so this is now really nice and brown. And we're going to add the rice and stir it all together. Bring the heat down a little bit. There we go. And not only that the rice looks attractive, and you see with the cold rice how nice it separates and everything. Not only that it looks attractive, but it has got great flavor because of all these Indonesian spices we used out of that package.
There we go.
Wow, that rice looks
So
terrific.
now
there.
what we do, take this away for the moment.
Is the salad ready now, so that...
No, the salad
No?
will be finished. The rice is done. Now we put a little bit of the peanut sauce over the salad.
Warm.
Warm, yes. And just add a little bit more of the krupuk onto it. And there's the Indonesian salad.
Excellent.
It's served like that. Then we will do the rice.
Why don't I take this up to Ned and Chris? Is that all right?
I'm sure they can have that now. Is that okay with you, Chef?
Well, they've
That
been
is
ruling
okay.
back here. I think it's about time we at least gave them something for showing up
So everything is
this week.
pretty well
wonderful.
done. Here is the Indonesian fried rice. And again, I'm cooking my arm here. Up.
True emotion.
If you see what you have, some omelette prepared in advance, and you sprinkle a little bit of the omelette on top
Just
of it,
a thin omelet.
Thin omelet.
That's basically it.
and sliced in pieces. And this is that coconut and nuts I talked about. The roasted, you just sprinkle a little bit over it, and it really adds to the flavor. Put some krupuk or the shrimp bread on the side, one for each. And then the shish kebab or the satay
On the side?
on the side. You see, it only took you 25 minutes to learn cooking Indonesian.
This is incredible, yes.
It is
I'm thinking of
incredible.
opening an Indonesian restaurant
You're-
next week, actually.
That's a void that would certainly need to be filled in this town. Anyway.
So, well, if
Would it
you
ever?
remember the Trader Fix in...
Now, do the scallops go in the sauce too, or no?
They go also in the scallops, and they have the distinct flavor because of the ginger we marinated it in. But Trader Fix, what was Polynesian cooking, they
Right.
claimed, really used the Indonesian kitchen.
Oh, is that correct?
And it was
Oh.
not really Polynesian. They made it Polynesian by adding some fruit onto it. God, you're messy.
Of course, of course.
You and I would make a great team because I always need 2 people after I've cooked to clean the kitchen.
I have
Ross gets to
6,
clean up
actually.
this week rather than do the
Well,
cooking,
some
I
people
guess.
live in style and can afford 6, you know.
Oh, that looks just fabulous. I
This
tell
is
you, Ned and Chris are
wonderful.
certainly in
So-
for a treat this week. And looks like there's good enough portion that we'll get a share of it, too.
And the next time, when we stick the satays in the sauce, try to keep them upright so that they don't all muck up. I wasn't going to tell that, but why not?
There you go.
Teaching you, there you go.
Knife.
And this is the Indonesian rice
So
with
essentially
the
what we have now
satay,
is
the
the
krupuk, serving spoons.
serving
excellent.
spoons.
And let's see if we can have our guest eat this without alka-seltzer treatment.
There we go.
Beautiful. Okay, well, let me just
Excellent.
pass this along.
So that is
Well,
Indonesian
thank you, sir.
roast.
Guys.
And
That was excellent.
I hope your viewers picked up some of the ideas,
Fabulous.
and if they try it
very
at home,
well
they will find it really is very tasty, quite easy to make, and
Inexpensive also.
and very inexpensive.
Yes.
The Indonesian kitchen very often uses leftovers to make a dish for the next day.
Waste not, want
And,
not.
definitely waste not, want not. So
That's terrific.
I hope this worked.
It looks fabulous, smells terrific, and we'll find out how it tastes very
No
shortly.
complaints coming from back there yet.
Not at all. Well, we'd certainly like to thank you for joining us as our first official guest of my segments with the show. Honor for me. And Ross, thanks for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope we haven't confused you too much with the recipes. But thanks for joining Cooking with Ross. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Okay. No.